So sorry about that. This
Oh, there
is
we go. We got you now. Now everyone can see you on the thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, guys. This is a nerd social, and I am Nathan.
And I'm Colin.
So we're going to talk about the Suicide Squad, the movie. Sorry
Mm.
for the technical difficulties at the top. We're going to go through a spoiler-free review like we usually do, and then we are going to talk about the movie in excruciating spoiler details after that.
Yeah.
So, Colin, what did you think of the movie? You saw it last night.
Yes, I did. So I did end up seeing it last night on HBO Max. So I am very grateful that Warner Brothers had pretty much released all of their content, their movie content for the entire 2021 year onto HBO Max. So it got me to put it down on HBO. It got me to actually subscribe to HBO Max, and I've been enjoying all this content all throughout. So I think we've watched at least a number of things on HBO Max and reviewed it. So
Yeah.
so kudos to them for that, even though they lost a lot of money for it. But personally, I'm very grateful for that. Um, but in terms of the movie, The Suicide Squad, so those of you that don't know, James Gunn had a little bit of uh, a disagreement, and also because of some tweets, controversial tweets that he had, so he was kicked out of Disney Marvel for a little bit, and so in his hiatus from Disney Marvel, he decided to direct the Suicide Squad for Warner Brothers. So this is the byproduct of that kind of temporary hiatus that he took from Disney Marvel. And I think that general impressions. I think I told you, Nathan, offline, was that this could be right up there in terms of DCEU being the best there is. I really believe that it has a lot of good elements to it that I feel that kind of ranks it up near the top or even at the top of all the DCEU movies. So it is pretty high praise, and if you look at the kind of like the body of movies for DCEU, there's probably a lot of controversy here and there about certain things. Now, as a caveat, I'm not including the Snyder Cut for this because I think that the Snyder Cut is more of a do-over for them. So I think in terms of the original movies that came out in theaters, which the Suicide this version of the Suicide Squad is the original version. I know that Batman versus Superman had a Snyder cut as well. So so in terms of the theatrical cut, I think that it's probably going to be near the top or rank up there. So those are my general impressions of the Suicide Squad. I can get into more detail later on about plot and about characters and stuff, but that will kind of spoil a lot of stuff. So those are my general impressions.
Okay. So I definitely enjoyed the movie. It was a lot more fun than the not the original. I guess the I guess original, but this isn't really a
Mm-hmm.
sequel. This is sort of like a reimagining, even though it's supposed to be in the same universe because
Right.
James Gunn is using some of the same characters from the first movie. Uh, my phone going off. Sorry about that. So he's pulling Harley Quinn, Rick Flag,
Mm-hmm.
um, uh, Captain Boomerang. I think are
Mm-hmm.
from the first movie. And I can talk about the characters without spoiling it because this was in this was in a lot of the promotional information. So
Mm-hmm.
those are the three people who carry over from the first movie, and also of course Amanda Waller. You really
Mm-hmm.
can't have the Suicide Squad without Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis.
Mm-hmm.
So the movie was, like I said, fun, less solemn, and also far more beautifully shot and put together than the first movie.
Mm.
But I also agree with you that it's better than most DCEU movies. I don't think it's better than Wonder Woman though, even though
Mm.
even though I think that um, I think the third act in this is better than Wonder Woman. I think it was better executed than Wonder Woman. I think that the emotional beats, uh, while they were there in this movie, were better in Wonder Woman.
Mm.
And some of the action set pieces were more like they, this had a lot of action, but it was like more inspiring. So it's hard to beat like that shot where she's going across the battlefield,
Mm-hmm.
like for like inspiration and like swelling, and like impressiveness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there was nothing like that. Even though there were a lot of cool shots, I guess, in this movie. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I rank Wonder Woman above it. But it's a good movie, so I would say it's. I was trying to think whether or not I like it more than Aquaman, and I think I do like it more than Aquaman, just
Mm.
because structurally that was a little overlong.
Mm-hmm.
And really, those are really the only two DCE movies that got it right out of the park, whereas it didn't have to kind of get a second bite of the apple like Justice League and Batman versus Superman.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really they're not. This movie is not really competing against a lot of other good movies. It's just competing against those two. So I think
Right.
it would be Wonder Woman for me, then this movie, and then Aquaman. Um, I think, like I said, the only reason that it gets dinged a little bit is because I think the emotional beats aren't as as profound or as nice as as Wonder Woman, and
Mm-hmm.
even Aquaman, because they just had far fewer characters.
Mm-hmm.
The emotional beats were a little bit better in that movie, but it's kind of what you're working with because they're trying to spread across. I don't know what was the original team. 14. It was actually counted it last night when I was watching it with my wife. The original team is 14 characters, but of course we're talking
Mm.
about the Suicide Squad, right? So like
Yep.
some of those people are gonna there's gonna be dwindling of those 14 characters from the beginning,
Yeah.
but you have to kind of introduce all these people and kind of give them motivations, and a certain subset of them are going to get like emotional arcs as well. So it's spread out a lot. So you're not feeling as much, even though, like I said, I think I felt more for this team than I did for the other team, in
Mm-hmm.
the original movie.
Yes.
And there were less characters in the other movie. They just did better. They just did a better job of fleshing out why you care about these characters in this movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think you're right about that. There definitely there's even with a huge team like this, there's character development. It's very interesting in that there. I think I remember there was a couple of I think one
Mm-hmm.
specifically one character who bit the dust, let's just say, very early on in the movie, but you cared about that character. So I'll get to more of that in the spoiler as to who that is, but it was very interesting. It's like, oh, you get a little bit of it, and I think that there's definitely some good kind of tricks. I wouldn't want maybe you want to say tricks, but things that James Gunn did to kind of make the characters feel more alive, and also just feel more kind of authentic to the audience, and again, like you said, Nathan, make you care a lot more about them. And I think that him using that trick in the movie really helped in terms of context. So that's something I would just to say non-spoilerly.
Yeah, I would also say, even though I think it's a recommendation for me, and I think
Mhm.
if I'm reading you correctly, a recommendation for you, this movie is very graphic.
Yes, it is.
It's earned its rated R rating. There isn't that much nudity, but there is some nudity. But it's just it's graphic
Yeah.
violence. It's very graphic violence and some gore.
Hmm.
It's also gory as well,
Hmm.
which makes it more interesting in some places. In some places, a little bit gratuitous, but uh, um, I think we were talking about this when we were talking about our most anticipated movies of 2021, whether or not this is going to come out well, because it's James Gunn, and he's done really good work in the past, but did he do really good work because Disney was reining him in? You can kind of see where Warner Brothers
Hmm.
didn't rein him in, and he went a little bit off the deep end with the gore.
Yeah.
that he couldn't do at Disney. So yeah, but it's still the products worked out. I mean, it's a good movie. It's definitely better than the first one. As I said, even though it doesn't have a lot to compare it to, it's one of the
Hmm.
better DCE movies.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would actually one other thing before we get to spoilers. I think that I kind of rank Birds of Prey higher. I mean, I saw it on
Oh
HBO
yeah,
Max.
I forgot about the Birds
So
of Prey.
like
Yeah.
I kind of like Birds of Prey a lot, even though it got panned by critics and
Hmm.
stuff. I mean, maybe I even put it up top above Aquaman. I mean, I enjoyed Aquaman, I enjoyed Wonder Woman, but it just didn't. I just didn't have that same feel. I like for Birds of Prey, I actually cared
Right.
a little bit. So I think that it's kind of interesting that yeah, like the two movies that I cared a lot more had Harley Quinn in it, but in different. But we'll get
Completely
to
different. Yeah.
spoilers. And
Yeah.
like it's probably not even her. It's just like the ensemble that's like actually more interesting than what she presents in the two movies. So
Honestly, Harley Quinn was good in the first Suicide Squad movie too. I
mhm.
mean,
Yes.
Margot Robbie really has made that character her own, and it's completely different, um, completely different characterization than sorry, Kaylee Cuoco is doing in the animated thing.
Hmm.
It's a bit different, and also different than the animated show back in the '90s. So
Hmm.
yeah, she's been good in everything that she's done. And I'm sorry I forgot about the Harley Quinn movie. Maybe because they changed the title so many times because they were unsure of the movie. But I don't know why
Yeah.
they're unsure of the movie. But yeah, I actually would rank it above Aquaman for me as well. I mean, I would keep the ranking. I put this movie above the Harley Quinn movie, but
Hmm.
it would be just below it.
Mm.
Just because there was a lot of action in this that was compelling, and I think if they didn't have, I mean, without spoiling too much, there's a set piece with Harley in this that is as nice as the one in the movie, the Harley movie.
Hmm.
So you get a big feature with her as well. So so yeah, I think I'd rank this above the Harley movie, but it's above. But I rank the Harley movie above Aquaman. So yeah.
Okay. Yep.
All right. So with that, we can get into some spoiler talk and actually have some screenshots from the movie. So moving forward, spoilers ahead. So if you haven't seen the movie, go see the movie. It's on HBO Max. It's also in the movie theaters. Um, so all right, spoilers past this point. All right, so I'm gonna actually jump over to